Welcome to another weekly featured business, brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, James Moffat, where he will gracefully take our featured guest on a personal and business journey and stories that will inspire, educate, and engage you.
Hello and welcome back. We've had a short little break over the Christmas period, so this is part 2. So we've got Dorothy and we've got her brother Alan now on the show. So welcome, Alan.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And yeah, Happy New Year to both of you.
And to you, James.
Yes, thanks to you.
Yes, and let's make this one a magical one for everybody and change the game. So yeah, Alan, you're here because you're both in business together. So we're going to learn a bit more about the business, who you serve, how you do it, the types of people, and so on, how you offer the services, and how you work together. I mean, what are the skills that you both bring in? And I think, Alan, you have something to share with us before we get going. So over to you, Alan.
Yeah, well, just to answer briefly, like a little bit of background first, so 2017 we started our private company, and we serviced the deaf community. So we offered sort of business consultancy, business mentorship, communication support, all aimed at the deaf community, the self-employed deaf community, because there was nothing out there for them. Sort of 2020 we expanded that to include the disabled community, and we'll get onto this more later, but more recently we've opened a community interest company. So yeah, that's just to sort of answer your question. But what I wanted to read for you guys was in the evenings I struggle sleeping. I've always struggled to sleep, so I always read while I'm in bed. And then I was reading a few months back, and then this sentence came into my mind, like the first sentence, and I thought, I have to write this down because there's no chance I'm going to remember it. So I just got my phone out, started writing, and then sort of like half an hour later, I had like 3 pages worth of stuff. And yeah, it sort of goes back to what Dorothy and myself are being attacked basically by the establishment, DWP, Department for Works and Pensions. So it's like I say, like spoken word or a soliloquy on my thoughts on that. So the title is Dead to All But Memory. So I'm just going to start reading. As giants walk among us fell folk, unimpeachable as they crush the life from the living, as those that can decide not to and turn their blind eye to the unjust nature of a system designed to protect those without the ability or wit to do it themselves. Such egregious vanity that Midas himself would surely blush, yet plough forth unperturbed and unrepentant, for who could possibly hold them accountable, for they are the accountants. A justice system once revered, now a lame facsimile as those that can align and wave by the all-seeing eye, rapacious for its own version of justice. Not justice as defined by Merriam-Webster, but its own malformed and twisted version, as who can stand against a jurisdictional powerhouse such as this? Myopic and malignant, but worse still, vengeful and deceitful. I will, I say to an empty room. I will stand, I will raise my hand and suffer this outrageous injustice. It means nothing and everything at the same time. An epitaph of democracy and an obituary for the free, the superior self-contentment of British values, dashed against the rocks of a plutocratic state that hearkens for omnipotent control over its subjects. Please read and digest the thoughts of a once proud Englishman. How far have we travelled from the green pastures of the idea that was once this jewelled island and all it stood for? Forever in a field will be the truth of us and what we believed, dead to all but memory.
Wow.
Excellent. Absolutely wonderful.
And that actually happened for anyone who's spiritual out there, on the Lion's Gate, and Alan's an Aries himself. I'm insulting him here. He's a Leo. I'm an Aries. But that's why it was powerful, the next day when Alan read his first piece, it was just, I got goosebumps, and it was like a beat, so yeah. And it is tough, isn't it? It's, I feel the pain of people like Alan, who were proud to be English, and they had every right to be English, proud to be English, and they need to start embracing that again. And that's what I feel, that no, even as someone who is British, I have a British passport, but I'm an Anglo-Indian. But yeah, don't let them do this. Don't let, as Dr. 𝗙𝗘𝗏𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗘𝗗 would say, mistakes were not made, and don't let them get away with this. And that's why the British people have to come together and reclaim their pride and their sovereignty, because this is wrong. So yeah, well done, Al.
Yeah, no, well done. I mean, this is something that you should post, because
I just read I read the shorter version for you guys. There's a lot more, and I think I just need to tweak it. But I think I will, after you've released the podcast, I will publish it somewhere.
Yeah, Alan doesn't have a platform anywhere.
No,
you don't actually have a platform anywhere.
No, well, I'm saner for it, but I don't know. They can't infect me with their evil. Yeah. But then the opposite side of that same coin is that you can't spread your own message, can you? Like you guys do. So there's two sides of the coin, isn't there?
Yeah, and actually, it will be in my book as well. Yeah. The full version, which is important.
Okay, so. Let's just we can add it anyway into the show notes, so we can add the text in there. So you've said it, but we can add the text there, because I think that's important for people to read for themselves, because it appeals to everybody, or should do. I mean, I was proud growing up to be British, and I think anyone in their own country should be proud to represent their own country. But when I've seen what's happened, and people say, because I don't live in the UK anymore, people say, "Oh yeah, would you consider going back?" No. Definitely not. But there was a time that I wanted to. And it is quite sad that you feel like that, but it's not because of the people. It's because of the
establishment. Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on from that. So, Dorothy, just mention again, because it has been a while now since we talked about the book, because that's where we met in the book club, because we're just finalizing our book, which is basically a journey of 12 previous guests. And the book is called The Essence of Being Human, which is trying to get it ready now. So if you've got any help on the book cover and stuff, then
well, I threw you a message in LinkedIn the other day, what's happening? But I mean, I'd be happy to have a look at anything, because it's an important aspect, as we know from that conversation.
So let's a recap, just quickly again on your book. What
so basically my book started, the thought of it started 10 years ago, if not before, actually, 2013, because I was going through the process of losing our mum, who had a really horrible type of cancer, and it was a spiritual journey, because the things that were happening and how I was feeling and what she was going through, and things were definitely happening that made me, the spirit guides, what have you, were coming to me to say, sort your life out, basically, because I'm about to, I needed to be a part of this. And but once mum had passed, I couldn't go there. I couldn't even think, and the actual grieving process, just as Alan will it was Alan who actually helped me to get out of it. But I was just so down, and I had my health as well was a major issue, and So basically, it was that conversation that only, Alan could have had with me, that to say that Mum would not want me to be going through what I was going through, and so that helped. And then basically, okay, I'm going to sort my life out. And I was going to move. I'd put my money down on a place over in Essex where my aunties are and what have you. And then Brexit happened, so that didn't happen. So, okay, what do I do? And then basically fell into this whole line of business, as a business communication consultant. No one had ever done anything like this. I just saw that I could do this with my history. But in regards to the writing, I just couldn't go there, because the premise of the story is there's three parts to it. Born Unlucky, which is me going back to the beginning, my birth, and the fact that my father passed away 2 months before I was born here in the UK. My mum had travelled over to England from India the summer before. And so that in itself is a painful thing to, so there's lots of reasons for why I just couldn't get going. And then part two was Spiritual Fraud, an event that happened in 1997 that I found out, and that was the catalyst, I think, for the whole ME, because I lost my voice, where I was in shock when I found out something that broke me for many years. I couldn't get my head around it for many years, that this could have happened. And I lost my voice for 3 days. And whenever I have an ME attack, it's my voice that goes. So basically there's that part two. And then part three is the Aries Warrior. That came along a lot later, because I didn't know that it was going to be a part of this story. And it is basically about the British establishment. How it ties in with my birth and my father's death, and the journey all the way through. But also, that's an easy thing to write about, because I'm living it. We're living it, and so and it's important, because it is like I had to go through this, every aspect of it, because nobody has the documentation that I have. Now, if you think of the story of Mr. Bates and the post office scandal that people will relate to, Mr. Bates had everything documented, and he said, no, I'm not being, and similar. So we're like the DWP version. But within the post office version, people were saying, oh, no, it wasn't the police fault. This time, 100% the two of them are together. So hopefully there will be change, and this will be our way of implementing change with the new alternative of doing things differently, because they will be called out, just like with the post office. They knew what was going on. You don't have 700 cases come up, or they can't all be, but think about it. They were all small business owners, and we cannot deny that through the COVID scandemic, whatever you want to call it, the last 4 years, who are the people who have been crushed? The small business owners, the freelancers. So then you amplify that when you're dealing with the deaf and disabled. So since I started my business back in September 2016, there was a report that was just published about the fact that the complaints into the Access to Work scheme, that they weren't supporting the deaf and disabled, the people that I support. So, and it's gone on throughout. So we changed things. We shook things up. We created a system where they could get support. So anyway, so in regards to the book, we're living it now. We're still going through it. Everything is for me, it's all evidence for the book. So when I do publish the book and the story, well, you can't be saying jack shit, because so that's where I'm at with it. It's just a process we have to go through. We will sue the hell out of them, but it shows every level of institution, department is involved, and how they pat one another on the back, how they know what they're doing. And so, yeah, it needs, and that's our part in trying to help, because through this, and like with the post office, these civil servants and public servants need to be held accountable, because they know that, I've got a list of 42 names that were presented to Mark Rowley the police, Met Police Commissioner, who is involved in this, you know. And so, yeah, that's what the book's about, really. But at the moment, I've gone back to the beginning, so my focus is on the beginning, and it's a story. It's a spiritual story, because even as I told you before we got on the interview, finding out about the tampered evidence, I wouldn't have known where to look. You know, that came to me, and that's what's been happening all through. And when you think about it, in regards to our mum, she was very, very protective over her youngest two, you know, and in some ways, especially me, you know, not having, you know, the born unlucky was her terminology, so, you know, for me. So, yeah, I mean, to think she's not going to be livid, you know, she's not going to be saying, no, this ain't happening, you know. So they took on the wrong people, and they're going to be exposed. And but good will come from this, because things need to change, you know. Yeah. Accountability needs to, you know, be had. Absolutely.
I think for others reading the book, it'll inspire them to. There's many people that haven't come forward with atrocities and similar cases that have happened to them. They just think, well, there's no point fighting the establishment because they'll never win. But when they see one case and another case, and then it gives them also a platform to speak out and think that I want my voice heard and I want to share my story. And yeah, when we all come together, then there's that unity. Whereas I think at the beginning, you feel that you're going out on a limb on your own, and yeah, do I stand any chance? Should I bother, or just like keep my head down and stick with the day job? So, when is the book likely to be published? Well,
1st of April 2025. That's the deadline I've set, you know. So okay. April Fools, because they are the fools.
Still got lots of content to put in there. So let's just move on. I mean, you mentioned particularly with the business that the focus is on the deaf and disabled. So why in particular? And you said not just deaf and disabled, but deaf and disabled, typically self-employed people. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
So basically we have this fight all the time with, Access to Work, who offer support, who are run by the DWP. So employed deaf or disabled people, they would have a manager, they would get onboarding training, they would get on-job training, they would have colleagues, all to guide them through, just the same as any other employee. But the self-employed person gets none of that. So they just have to sort of find their way through.
They also get automatic support in place. You've got a contract in place for 3 years. A self-employed person has to fight for every aspect. And then they're up against these aggressive advisors. You know, I know this because it happened to me back in September 2016 with the ME. I applied for my own support to get me going for transport and what have you. The first conversation I had, that I was accused of lying. So
let me, understand it from a kind of a layman's point of view. So if you're disabled in some way and you work for a company, then you get all of that provided. But if you're self-employed and disabled, you don't get anything.
Like you say, you have to negotiate your support, your budget of things that you require support with. But what made us unique, what we were offering, was basically it's mentorship. It's a business mentorship. So it's like your manager at work, your line manager, your overall manager, your colleague, it's your training. Like, you know, they haven't experienced, they don't know about Companies House and how to register their limited company, or the HMRC, how to do their self-assessment, or creating a logo, or the web. Like, they don't know about those in depth about those things, and it becomes daunting and overwhelming. So they decide not to do it, which is that's not the attitude, is it? It's not what should be.
all of that's on top of the communication support, the BSL and, you know, sign support English. I mean, think about this. You're self-employed, yeah? So a deaf person, they need communication support, dealing with a hearing world. But we say to you, you know, as a deaf person, you can only have support on a Monday morning and a Thursday morning. That's it. Well, that doesn't work, does it? I mean, because you don't know, like we had to reschedule podcasts and what have you. You don't know what's going to happen. Also, because the employed people can block book interpreter support, communication support, whatever their support 3 months ahead, because they have their contract and their manager is going to sign off. Where is all the support that, you know, so we were quite unique from that point of view, that we set up WhatsApp groups, team WhatsApp groups, Alan and I and the client, so they could contact us 24/7. This is how it worked at the beginning, 24/7. You get 2 people's input for that, Alan and myself. Yet, you know, at one point the Access to Work said, no, but it's not fair because your clients have an advantage over other people. And then it's like, yeah, but we'll only pay for this. Anything else is above and beyond. That's your choice. And then it turns around to, well, you don't do any work. It's like, you know, intimidatory and stuff. So but basically that was a format. It hadn't been done before. And it was working really well. These are people that we connected with, all referrals. Because they had ideas, whether it's PT, instructors, this, that, and the other, but they could get no support from Access to Work because they couldn't communicate with them, or Access to Work just didn't want to communicate with them. They'd just shut them down. So we managed to we'd fight for them, make sure the business plan was okay, get the support in place for us, for, you know, whatever support they needed. And then, yeah, you have a year then to like a test period, you know, if you do get it. But, you know, it's like they set you up to fail. It's like because they delay the support, you could wait months, you know, to actually get the support. But that 2-3 months is taken out of your year. But you haven't had the full support in place. So, I mean, Access to Work have been, you know, reports have been done over and over, you know, and even last summer, Alan's MP, Stephen Timms, who is on the committee, heads up the committee for the DWP, is saying the same thing. Well, they're being let down. There's nothing in place. And now the only thing they did have in place was the new enterprise allowance scheme for the self-employed. They stopped that, I think, 2 years ago. And they're not replacing it. Yet they've just done a 5-year plan for the future. You know, so yeah, it's like, and they're trying to push everything onto online. So yeah, you have SignLife, BSL support, you know, where you can have a contract for £800 a month to use your time, and you can book an interpreter. You can have incentives, iPads, laptops, mobiles, you know, Access to Work will pay for it, you know. And then if you don't use the support, that's okay. You know, Access to Work are going to pay their contracts. But if you go over your hours, it's £150 an hour, you know. So they've nicked our ideas, basically, and they've wanted us out of the way for multiple reasons, because we would have stood up with what was happening with this new 5-year plan. So, yeah, lots of... you know, but our clients, you know, all the ones we, you know, started with, they're all success stories. The majority are success stories, and they've worked so hard, you know, and this is in the private, you know, our private companies. So yeah, it's
yeah. I mean, look, everyone needs guidance, like I said, mentorship, and it's just like just nudging them in the right direction, or when they just don't understand it or the relevance of whatever it could be, and that we're like a sounding board to them. And it's like, look, if we don't know, then we'll go and find out. Do you know what I mean? And you build trust, don't you, with like that?
Exactly. I completely understand, because, I mean, when you first venture out on your own and you leave kind of the corporate world, then, and you decide you want to be an entrepreneur, business owner, self-employed, there's kind of not any guidance. That is, you're on your own now. Now, a lot of people when they leave the corporate world, they then find mentorship programs and other things and they can do. And they normally take some money with them because they would have made that decision to leave. And then finding the right mentor is the challenge, and not someone that's just going to profiteer off them and lead them in the wrong direction. But nevertheless, everybody throughout life needs a mentor. Now, you can call the mentor a mentor or a guide, a teacher, a friend. It doesn't really matter what you call them. We all need that. And
support
whether
worker,
we get it from a parent, a teacher, the guy down the street, your next door neighbor, they're all there, or should be there, to help you and steer you in the right direction. We don't know everything about everything, and particularly when it comes to being an entrepreneur, like as you said, Companies House, registering a company. Why do I need to do that? What type of company do I register? How do I register it? And when you say you've got to do it online, well, I've never been online before. And it's just to understand everyone's got a different learning capacity and a different understanding. Like, just digressing a bit, when my mum, we first said, like, you've got to go online so we can chat to you online. She said, what does that mean? Right? And then we said, no, you got to use WhatsApp on a phone. They said, what is WhatsApp? And it's for chatting. They said, well, why can't I call you? And so everybody, I mean, you say that to a teenager and they get it straight away. We all have a different ability to learn. So offering a service like you're offering, although you've picked on as a special group, I mean, everybody needs that. I mean, I know I needed that because I didn't know what to do. And now that I do something similar with helping startups and business owners also create their business plan and then go to market, growth strategy and everything else. But you need to learn. You need to learn it from somewhere. All right, some people can self-learn with using YouTube and other things, but the majority of people need hand-holding. And particularly when you come to maybe people with a disability need it more. So I can't see why.
And the thing is, if they don't hit their minimum viability target in that second year, then it's over. And they didn't care about COVID and the lockdowns and stuff like that.
Why should it be over? It's like saying, like, oh, you didn't pass your driving test the first time. We're not going to invest anymore.
Well, you have to wait 5 years for them to.
Why?
Exactly, James. Exactly. Why?
Well, within 5 years, you could then go from excitement and start your own business to depression.
Exactly. And we had that, you see, during the lockdowns. I think I said it before that everyone was just lost, and a lot of the deaf communities were in one room, away from their families and stuff like that. And it's like, so we made a conscious decision. We keep things going for everybody's sake. We had Zoom meetings, this, that, and the other things were still trying to happen, and then that was thrown at us. Well, that's suspicious. Well, it's all right for everyone else, all the employed people, but not for us.
They can sit in their kitchen while still getting paid their full salary. But I think we even got funding during the lockdowns, didn't we, for one of our clients? So things were still achievable.
We were still having meetings. And I mean, that was the great thing that through that period, with the setting up the foundation.
So there's no real incentives apart from what you offer, that if you're deaf or disabled and you're in the corporate world and you want to become self-employed, what's the incentive for wanting to do that? Where's the help coming from?
I mean, look, the problem with like the whole access to work scheme, like the support section of it, you obviously have British Sign Language interpreters and communication support workers, but they're very generic and they have, well, no, I can't help with that. Like I say, we're business consultants, we have business insurance to cover us, but we're offering advice and mentorship, and you should do this. This is what I think you should do, how you can make your business successful. They won't do that. a communication support worker would just help with writing an email. They won't give their opinion and their experience of running businesses previously, how you should approach this person or that company, or, you know, they're not going to give anything of themselves. It's basically translation, you know, from ESL to English.
I was at I do advocacy work, unpaid, for people who I believe deserve support by these, you know, against these huge corporate companies. And I was present at a hearing, and I was shocked. Just, you know, you got a gang of them around a table and boom, boom, boom. So they really didn't want me there. But this individual who was basically the victim left the room crying. The interpreter, I didn't know, because I was, you know, elsewhere taking the call. I'm walking back to the room. The interpreter calls me. This individual's in tears and says, I can't deal with this. You know, I'm just an interpreter. I can't deal with this. And you think, wow, you know. But maybe that, you know, their rules and regulations. But come on, where's your empathy for an individual who has been bullied left, right, and centre? You've witnessed this, and it's like, yeah. So yeah, I had a few choice words to say, but yeah, it's like it's just wrong. How people have been treated is wrong. You know, we had the experience of our mum and Alan's dad, you know, my stepfather had a business, you know, in the City of London for many, many years. So it was always that psyche that you do your own things, that had incredible work ethic, too much the other way. But in regards to mum, she didn't know any different. You know, she came here to this country, you know, 3 kids, 1 back home, 2 kids, pregnant with me. You know, you just had to do things, you know, you had to make things happen. And that's what she did. Never had a holiday in her life. We never had a holiday, a family holiday, you know. So that work ethic, when people say, you know, I've been accused, well, how do you do the things you do if you're really got the health issues and stuff? Well, because I'm already ahead of you people. And when I do have those moments where I'm full steam ahead, you know, I'm on another level, you know. You cannot compare us to any, you know, civil servant, public servant, because it's a different mindset, you know, and you cannot expect them to understand a world of entrepreneurship and self-employment and what have you. Some try, and there are some decent ones there, you know, and basically I had a report done on me right at the beginning where we went through everything that, you know, was expected of me and what the services I offer. And then all of a sudden, boom, no, you know, it's like, because they want us out of the picture, because they know we're going to do things like this. I don't think they actually expected it to for us to come back.
It just baffles me. Why couldn't they work with you? I mean, harness the knowledge and the way that you do it and work with you on it rather than push you out.
Because, James, what have we just lived through? How many suicides have taken place within the mainstream community? Freelancers, business owners, they crush them. We can't, it's all connected, because if they're good, they're attacking,
But
you know, the whole.
Yeah, I fully understand that. And I also understand that, yeah, the system is against us, period, right? But surely there can't all be bad people within the system. There must be people there that have some empathy and some compassion.
Yeah. I mean, basically, it started with an incident. Like I said, that first phone call where I was called a liar. You know, I'm not in this world of how they do things. I've been off for a number of years through to my ill health. So I come and it's like, what? You can't talk to me like that. And that's my personality anyway. It's like, well, what the heck? The manager of this woman who called me a liar, his name's Stephen Rowe, and he is the person behind all of this who instigated. He just, in his own head, for whatever reason, saw me as the enemy. And literally he went into my own personal file, my own personal, took information about my personal health and everything, sent it to a client we were working with, and basically saying, she's dodgy, she needs to be investigated. And this is within I think a year. Is it a year of us, me first getting going? And you think, now they investigated this guy and they apologized and they gave us our own dedicated advisor. They asked me to allow them to deal with him internally. Now it's this individual who they are relying on as a whistleblower against me. So it was a personal incident, that maybe just escalated. But when it runs parallel to what's going on out there, they've used it as a reason,
just kind of for the viewers, I mean, what would be their objective of not working with you and to try and I don't know, degrade you in everything that you do rather than support you and think, well, you're doing a great service. There's not enough of us to be able to do the service that you do. And maybe we can learn from you. Maybe you can teach us something and we can expand this out and make it a success. But they would rather either plagiarize and steal what you're doing, push you to one side, and then, dismiss you as the weird ones that are not doing anything. So, I mean, what is it that their objective is? Because I thought they're supposed to be to help people as well.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell you've not been in the country for a long time.
No, look, the thing is, it's like when you're talking civil servants, and I'm talking the higher end civil servants tend to be a certain type, like very well educated, and they're not used to being told they're wrong and being embarrassed. And I think, going back to the very beginning, like Dorothy, she wrote letters to Theresa May, 𝗙𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗘𝗗.
Yeah, my MP was Zach Goldsmith. He was involved in all this.
She went very high, very quick to escalate the discrimination that was going on, and some of that must have had an effect coming back down the chain, if you like. So these people have been embarrassed and have been told from the top down what you're doing. So it's like they're holding a grudge, basically. It's a malicious attack.
Well, exactly. And when you have the evidence that I have on my doorstep, those 25 Ring videos, when they've been tampered, missing videos, all that prove my point, how the DWP are telling police officers on my doorstep that, that I'm this organized crime, this, that, and the other, you just think, wow, so it's obviously...
It just baffles me. I mean, maybe I'm too naive or trying to focus on the humanitarian side of things to think that, I mean, can't they look at the holistic view of what you're doing and think, well, why are you doing this business? Who are you serving? I mean, it's a challenging job in itself. And why would you be doing that if you didn't have a good heart and the passion and the desire and the purpose for doing it? Now, what are we doing to help you achieve that? Or are we trying to make it extremely difficult for you that you can't achieve your goals, and then we can then blame you for it? It just seems ironic. I mean, in the essence of us trying to, I always say there's three things in life, period, that we're here for, right? First thing is to learn. We're constantly learning, and we'll never, ever learn everything there is to know about everything. It's impossible. But at least you can learn on your journey. Second thing is to serve humanity in the best way possible, using your gifts and your knowledge and what you believe in. And the third thing is to preserve humanity, period. It's not about how much money you earn, how big your car is, what your status is, what fake titles that you have, whether you're a civil servant or not. Are you doing these three things? And if you're not, you've got to question, well, what's your existence? And to me, it's simple. I mean, if we're not doing that and helping the generations that we work with now and the generations to come, then what the hell are we doing? There's nothing more. It's not about the company you work with and how much money they earn and how big the shareholders are. Nothing to do with that. It's all to do with serving humanity. And we clearly see over the last, not just 4 years, but probably 4,000 years, it's not been like that. There's two sides. There's the ones that believe in that and they'll do everything they can on a daily basis to help one another. And there's those that are out for themselves.
Well, there's been a lot of corruption and compromised people, and you think even the last 4 years, it's the civil servants, the public servants who were forcing everybody and treating everybody, it's like, you've got to have this, the propaganda.
They're the attack dogs.
Sorry?
They're the attack dogs, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So we're not, you can't be surprised. It's like I say, it's just something we've had to live through so that we can observe, and actually play our part and say, so when they do say, well, we care, well, actually you don't. And actually, since I went public with that organised crime blog, people have, I've had meetings, Zoom meetings with people, high up within the deaf and disabled world, where they've got similar horror stories of how they've been attacked. Why? So
that's, kind of move this forward a bit in the way, because I know it's very, very easy to go off rail and bring up all the doom and gloom, and that's not what we want. We want kind of a positive note on this. So tell me a bit more about how many clients are you working with, or can you work with? I mean, what's their capacity, and are they in a certain region? How would you work with them? Is it face to face? Is it online? A combination? So tell me a bit more about kind of the programs that you offer.
Well, in regards to our private companies, we should just say that we have 2 private companies where we work with the freelancers, deaf and disabled. I work with 5 and Alan works with 7. And yeah, just really, I mean, obviously they're private clients, so we can't really discuss them in regards to that. But I do want to say, without their support over the last, year or so, we wouldn't still be here. And it's their loyalty that oversaw this, even though they feel themselves intimidated, and we've had to change the way we work. So now we've been like, okay, tough, this session, that's it, but yeah, it's the intimidation that they feel that they couldn't say, well, actually, that doesn't work for me. It's nothing we can do about it, But so in regards to that, that's a separate side to the foundation and the projects, and where we would like to put some focus now, because we can't be a part of that system moving forward. You want to have, distance yourselves a bit. So that's where we focus on our community projects that they have the government have no involvement within. So Al, would you like to say more?
Yeah, so basically, like on the private side, so the capacity is very small, like you said, like 5 to 7 maximum clients that we can work with. But we have a contract with these clients, and basically we're intertwined with their companies. So it's like a almost day-to-day thing, like they can fire anything at us, and no, try this and do this, and no, you should do it like that. So we're almost like a business partner, but we, obviously we don't have any stake in it. It's their business, so, but the whole point, the sort of segue into the community interest company we have, and the project that we would like to do, is to be able to scale that up. So it's to be able to offer sort of workshops and sessions, like drop-in sessions where people can come, maybe it won't be day-to-day intertwined with their businesses, but if they're totally lost and they don't know where to start, it's like we can get them going. We want to be able to impact more people, help them with businesses that setting up, starting up, or just improving their businesses.
And the location of these businesses are where you live, or they could be anywhere?
Yeah, we're in London. I'm in East London. Dorothy's in Southwest London. So, I mean, most of our clients are London based, but I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. Since the explosion of Zoom and stuff, since COVID and that, it's like there's no reason why I couldn't help someone who's in Scotland or wherever. It doesn't matter, does it? Really?
Oh, exactly. I mean, yeah, I have interviews with people from the four corners of the world.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and it's exactly the same. So, yeah, technology can help people as well. So, and yeah, but as you say, I mean, when it comes to start your own business, I mean, there's so many things to consider that you can't just have in a kind of standard program. Here's the program, get on with it. It doesn't kind of work like that, because we all have different needs, and there's also that psychology towards it. There's also that mindness and the purpose why you're doing it, and other eventualities that are not considered in a standard program. So you have to be flexible enough to be able to deal with that, because it's not easy. I found that a lot of startups I've worked with, the reason why they're failing is not to do with the technology or the business and what they're selling. It was more a mindset thing.
Yeah, that's an important point, actually, because many members of the deaf community and disabled, they've had their upbringing being sort of marginalised or told they can't do something. And I think part of our mentorship, I mean, Dorothy is usually very good at this, is giving confidence to them. Like, they may have an idea and it's a really good idea, but if they're being told all the time, maybe their friends or their family, no, why don't you just get a job over here at Just Eat or Amazon or something, minimum wage, just like, yeah, but they really love this, whatever it is, they really want to be this. And it's like, just filling them with, yes, you can do it. You can do
Or at
that.
least give it a go.
Yeah, give it a go. And you know what? We're going to be here with you while you're doing it. Like,
Exactly, I completely agree, because when I've spoken to a lot of business owners, particularly the solopreneurs, and they've said, I've asked them, because they've come to me because they're struggling with their business. And I said, well, let's just take a step back. Why are you doing this type of business? Is this your passion, your desire, and everything? And they said, no, because you can make a lot of money. And I think, well, that's the problem. You're doing something that you're not looking at it as something that's meaningful to you. It doesn't bring you joy and passion. You're just thinking about the money. And if you're thinking about the money is a reward. It's the gift that you get for doing a job. It's not the goal. It's not the money. Although we all need money to survive, of course. But I mean, you shouldn't be the obsession with the money. It should be what you want to get out of bed and do every day. And yeah, it's understanding things like that, working with everybody. Sometimes you need to take them back to the beginning, right? To clear their head and think about what would bring them the joy, the passion, to leverage on their gifts and their skills. And then then the question comes, well, I don't know what my gifts and skills are. So then you can take them a step back and then help them find those, so extract the gifts and say, now you've got something that you love, something that you're good at. Now apply that to a business. Who would benefit from what you've got? So there's so many eventualities that you have to look at when you're working with any entrepreneur, disabled or abled. I mean, it's the same challenges.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought, right? I mean, in our book, I was just thinking about the book that we're writing with the previous guests that have been on the show. One of my previous guests is a keynote speaker, and he's an advisor and entrepreneur himself, but he's fully disabled. I mean, fully as in, yeah, he's in an assisted wheelchair and has oxygen. And yeah, but fully, I mean, a great mind and everything else. is perfect in that respect. So yeah, I mean, he's writing his story about him because he was born disabled. Now, I was just thinking about all the clients that you work with. They all have a story to share. And did they become disabled through an accident? Were they born disabled or whatever? And these stories are inspirational for others, particularly others that have a disability, because if they read the success stories of others, it motivates them and brings them hope as well. So had you considered that?
Tend to be very private, don't they?
Yeah.
Our clients, there is some very inspirational stories, and I think they do tell them on their own platforms in their own way, and it is shaped how their stories that they want to tell to the public anyway.
I think that might be a future project for the foundation to say, look, who would like to, not necessarily our clients, but who would. I mean, I have an interesting story, and in regards to just the uniqueness of what we do. Basically, I received a message on LinkedIn from a head teacher in South Africa. And she had asked me, she'd obviously seen my profile, and she said, could I help a young deaf boy? He's a teenager. He'd come to the UK to be with his brother, but nobody will help him because he can't sign. He can sign South African, but he can't sign BSL. The wonderful DWP wouldn't help him and said basically, no, he has to wait. I think it's like, God knows, 2 years for any form of support. No deaf charity would help him because they wouldn't get paid to help him. So I was like, okay. Basically, I arranged a meeting to meet him and his brother, and I thought, okay, what can we do? What can we do? But he loves sport, so and I thought I'd heard his story about how he was born deaf and had multiple health issues, and then a couple of years before he'd been in a house fire. Where he saved his best friend, all the family, and saved the best friend. And then within a year, I think it was, the best friend dies of sepsis. So he's he's in an unhappy place, and there's tensions between him and the brother because the brother's having to financially support him and he wants to give him a better opportunity. So we met at a cafe in Richmond. And so I thought, okay, what can we do? Obviously, I have empathy for their story. Our nephew Scott had just passed away at 25 with a brain tumor. So it was relevant to us, and we were caught up with this fight with DWP. So we thought, okay. So I thought, okay, sport. So he's interested in sport. Let's try to do something within the sport world and set him up, just so he can get support for us to be on board. We do that. We try multiple things in regards to, because the lockdowns. So I'd applied for Starbucks, coffee, barista, applied for Just Eat, where you can cycle. And you know what? He was the first person with Just Eat, deaf person, to be employed. After him, I think that, when he left, there was 4 others. So, and then now he's doing so well, excelling as a barista. So this is a guy, if we hadn't come on board at that point in time, where, the mental health issues were certainly kicking in. But that's the story of just one connection, one message on LinkedIn, and I wasn't very active back then, that led to this, and then when, always, I'd got him his PIP support, everything high level. Next minute, friends jump on board, and then you're being accused of, well, you went above and beyond. You shouldn't have been supporting him in his private life and things like that, because his brother had got pissed off and went off to South America. And then he was all by himself. We managed to, with the local support, Thames Reach, we managed to get him a lovely, secure room and everything. And you think, do you know what I mean? It's like that's the sort of thing that we're really good at. Taking someone who has no support.
But that's important because it's like, we don't mold people into them being useful to us. It's like we tried setting up self-employed business for him, and we were trying to get training for him to get qualified and stuff, but it wasn't working. Like, and he was the type of person that needed the structure of an employment, being employed. So then we helped him find an employed role, and then that went on to another connection we had within Starbucks, and then they took him on employed there, and he's really enjoying it. So it's like helping people find their path, isn't it? Find their way.
Exactly. It's a snowball effect. I mean, you help someone who, I mean, and they go on to bigger and better things, and it's wonderful. I mean, this is, as I said, what we should be doing. So let me ask you a question. So doing something like this, which is particularly challenging, and particularly when it comes to the deaf and the disabled. So with all the challenges that you've faced, why do you do this?
Because we're bloody good at it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but I mean, it gives us an opportunity. When I first had the idea to do this, and like I say, I am been divinely led, my mum's support, because I didn't have the answers. What am I going to do? It's like, and I said to Alan, I called him back in 2016 and said, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be set up this business model. I'll be self-employed, but on my 50th birthday, 5th of April 2017, I'm going to set up a limited company called ELREM Limited, anagram of our mum's name. Would you like to join me? Because I knew Alan wasn't particularly happy doing what he was doing. His dad had dementia and stuff. And his response was, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. It's another one of your crazy ideas. So I knew, knowing how we operate, I would have to prove it to him. Okay. So I did. And basically, I started the company with 2 clients, and then in the May, another girl asked for support, and I couldn't do it physically, mentally. I wasn't in a position to do it, and I was happy with that. But HMRC said you have to have more clients if you're really self-employed and what have you. So, but luckily, she was into PT, and Alan had completed his PT and what have you. So I asked him. I said, look, I won't take her on board as a client if you don't come on board, and he had seen what I was doing. So he joined 10th of May, gave him half the company and stuff like that. And we gelled. And from having Alan's input and us as a team, because although we have the same moral compass, we're very different, but we have that ultimate respect for one another. It took us onto a whole other level. And that's when the attack started with Venom. So they could see how we could grow this, and I think, and encourage others to do it as well. Because think about it, as you said earlier, we all agree mentorship is so important. And so you have a whole range of people out there, especially people like me who have ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, and who have been out of the loop. Those people, the illness tends to affect people who are driven, who don't stop, and so there's a whole range of people, and I said this, who could play that role to others, and they obviously didn't like it. That I was coming up with these ideas. So that's how it sort of started. And it's
I think it's great what you're doing. It wasn't a trick question. I just wanted to see kind of what you were saying.
I'll tell you just quickly, like for me personally, it is the fact that each one of them has their own business. They're in a different business sector or a different industry. I just like, it's so interesting. You've got performing artists, you've got web designers, you've got, Instagram. There's all just different, like you can all like always dipping into something new. And like you're saying about learning, I'm learning myself as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, every conversation you have, you're learning from someone else.
Yeah, and there's a hell of a lot of pride as well when you take someone through from the starting block, and then you see them grow in confidence, and then you see then they're telling us, oh, I think this, perfect.
Yeah, but like I said, it's a knock-on effect, because then they feel good. They tell their loved ones like how things are moving forward. Then their loved ones feel good, and yeah, it just spirals. I mean, it's wonderful.
And it's always a team approach, because we're just one part of it. They have their interpreters, they have their CSWs, they have whatever support they feel they need to make it happen. We make sure, or Alan is the point of contact with access to work, that's in place.
Okay, so typical programs that you do, they can all be done online.
Yeah.
Well, support.
All support.
But in regards to the projects, the foundation project, we focused on the community and health and well-being because of the whole COVID thing, and just bringing people back together. So that's why it's the cycling project or the rowing project or walking.
Okay, so with community things, you bring people. I mean, as a community, it's not one-to-one now; it's a community.
Yeah, what we do is we kind of, we have somebody, lead the project, so we put them in a position where they can lead the project, and we're behind them supporting. And basically, you bring people together, community-wise, to do that. So it's a double whammy, really.
Okay. So with the business, I mean, what's the vision for the future of where you want it to be?
You mean the foundation?
Yes.
Yeah. Because, well, basically, we want to work on this project, Bossing It. That actually is not like the health-wise, even though obviously it impacts mental health. But that's the project we'd like to trial now, where we are more involved ourselves, and actually offering the services that we offer our private clients. So it's on that larger scale. And that's what we're looking to get funding to do, through 2024. So
who typically would fund something like this?
Well,
National Lottery would be the biggest one.
Because
there's lots of organisations that offer funding, to be honest, nowadays. They all have their various guidelines and things they want to hit, targets they want to hit. But yeah, there's plenty out there, and it's like, as we've discussed, there's the need for it because all the government initiatives have fallen by the wayside. And to be able to offer what we have done for our private clients on a large sort of national scale, really, would be fantastic.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I love it. No, I love what you're doing. I think it's fantastic. I mean, to help anybody. I mean, able or disabled. I mean, it's just what we're supposed to be doing.
And that's when I was none of this is official yet because we haven't sat down. But when I first had the idea of Bossing It, it was like overcoming the barriers to self-employment for the deaf and disabled. But I added deaf, disabled, and disenchanted. It's like, it makes sense to me because if there are a lot of people out there. No, I want to do my own thing, and obviously that incorporates the people who are, feeling not a part of anything, and the mental health issues, really.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of disenchanted people out there, and
I can guarantee Alan will take that out. But he always said I use too many words.
Oh yeah, so many words. But it's like it's important to note, like, people like watching Dorothy wouldn't say she's disabled or anything, but she's classified as having a long-term health condition. So I think quite often people that have had an illness and it affects them gravely and for a long time, it's like, there is help out there for you. Just maybe you don't classify yourself as disabled, but you could be having a long-term health condition, and there's help out there for you, and maybe one of our initiatives could be one of them, but there's other stuff out there also. So I think it's how people view themselves, isn't it?
Yeah, because this was it. You see, when I was on the ESA because of the health condition and stuff, I never thought of myself as being disabled. And it was only having that conversation with Stuart, my disability advisor, who was signing me off, the whole ESA thing to start this business. And, and he said, well, why don't you have support? Because I was having major relapses anytime I had to travel and stuff. And yeah, but I'm not disabled. And he says, yes, but you have a long-term health condition. And that's why he supported me through. And that's why he encouraged me to write to Theresa May. Tell them your story, because, this is really important. That's why we have a 3-year LinkedIn conversation where he says, I think you've been targeted, talk to Penny Mordaunt, talk to this. It's like, well, this is what happens. But yeah, so basically, it's important because, like what happened at Christmas, I had my mindset that Christmas Day to the Friday, I was going to write. That was my time. Everyone leave me alone. I had a major relapse, and this has gone on for 17 years. I have no control. I could wake up in the morning and not know how it's going to impact me, and that's why I had a fantastic support team, and with Alan a part of it, and that's why we worked so well together. He understood, okay, and they could jump on board. And now they've taken all my support away from me. And so now and the good thing is, there are positives through this, but it is your mindset. And okay, we adapt. And that's what Alan always says, whatever, we will adapt. So don't stress. So now I Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I have, rest days. But it's also time for me to write, because my book is a part of my company, my private company. So, yeah, and this is what needs to get across to people like who have ME, because when I actually tried to work and I did it, it was an overload too quickly. And I ended up with functional neurological disorder, where basically my brain just stopped communicating with parts of my body, like my fingertips and my left leg. So I have no control over that, and but you spend a fortune on getting the right support and coming away from the NHS, which is a big, huge thing, because it's but yeah, they're the sort of people we can help as well, just by saying, and being so, with access to work, for all the mud that they throw at us, they've only recently had to put it in writing. That's what your title is. That's what your hourly rate is. Blah blah blah. So they've got nowhere to hide. So anyone who comes to us, we can put that part of their package. Okay, what support do you need to do that? Alan will put it in there. What there's no excuses. They're entitled to that support. We've given everything over. So yeah, that's a big thing, because people don't know that. A lot of people don't even know there's access to work support, out there, for the self-employed.
I think that's the biggest problem, is knowing that there is help out there and where to find it.
Well, when I first heard about it, the advisor said to me, it's been the best kept secret for 21 years. And this was in April 2015. And they kept saying, no, we want people to hear about it. But no, you only want a certain group of society to know about it, not the others, obviously.
Look how many people that could have helped in 21 years if they'd known about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, on that note, we're just going to wrap this up now. So have you got any kind of closing statement or message that you want to say? And then the other thing is, how can people find you?
Dorothy? I was going to let her waffle on for hours, or I'd think of something nice to say. No, yeah, look, we've said it all, basically. Look, there's help out there for you. You don't have to be deaf, disabled, even long-term health condition. Do you know what I mean? Just if one person can take something positive out of our discussion, do you know what I mean? There's opportunity out there. If that's what you want, to operate your own business, you can do it. Do you know what I mean? And there's people that will help you as well, and you'll find them in unlikely places usually. And it's not the mainstream places you go. that you go and you obviously will end up disenchanted if you go to those mainstream routes. But there's just communicate, talk to people, find
also,
like-minded people.
Yeah, and any communication you have with the DWP, British establishment, whoever, put it in writing. Never ever have phone calls. Put it in writing, and that's my best advice to you. And if you believe that you're entitled to it, because of your idea, what have you, and you want to give it a go, then you fight for it straight off. If an advisor is rude to you, straight off, I'd like to make a complaint. The complaints resolution team, they're the ladies to speak to. So yeah.
So yeah, contact wise, I'm a bit dark on social media and stuff. I do have LinkedIn, which Dorothy is always telling me to update, and I will do.
You haven't updated the foundation.
I will do.
I recently updated and added my Ramlion private business, because some of the things that I've been saying, as you know, James, it's like, but you know what? You get to a certain stage in your life that you can't switch off. You can't switch off from business, the foundation, to what is actually going on in the world. And I'm not prepared to. And that's where I'm at with my life. And so, yeah, I think it's important for people like us, who are all on the same page, that we do stand up, we do use our voice. Okay. For people who can't, especially within the community that we support.
Okay. So Dorothy, the best way to find you then?
LinkedIn, Dorothy Dady, and also just take a look at our website, ELREMFoundation.org, and hopefully in the coming months we will be adding the Boss in It project. That's what we're actively working on, and we are continuing with the cycling, and actually a couple of podcasts are the thing. So we've got two clients we will be supporting with that. So yeah, lots of exciting things happening. You just got to stay positive, just adapt, be adaptable.
And I'm looking forward to your book.
Thank you.
Right, so we'll keep in touch anyway. As I said, we're in the same book club. And I will put the notes, so provide me the links and everything, and particularly Alan, what you read out earlier, and we'll put that in there, and then I will post this on YouTube, and the audio goes on Spotify, and it's automatically copied over to Rumble as well.
Right.
And then you can do what you wish with it. Okay, so
it might not last long on YouTube.
Well, I had a previous guest that lasted 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to put it on my website as well. Thanks a lot, James. Lovely to talk to you as always. Yeah,
you're welcome. Right, have a great day.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
take care. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was another featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact. If you'd like to be our next featured guest or learn how James Moffat can help you leverage on the art and power of interactive storytelling for your business, reach out and schedule a call now.